Hello everyone, welcome to WebDev Warrior. In today's video, we are going to build an amazing food order landing page from scratch. We are going to use the latest version of Next.js, which is Next.js 15. We are going to use TypeScript for type safety. We are going to use the latest versions of Tailwind CSS, which is Tailwind v4. And we are also going to implement the dark light functionality in this landing page. So first, let me show you a full demo of this landing page. So if I reload the page, you can see we have animation in our project. Here at the top, we have the navbar with hover effect, a button and a theme toggler. And in the hero section, we have text, content and image. And we have these buttons with hover effect. And if I start scrolling, you can see our navbar become fixed and now it have some shadow. If I start scrolling, you can see we have this available restaurant nearby area with scroll animation. And you can see this have a smooth scroll animation in our landing page. And the designs also looks premium. Next, we have this popular category section with animation. Next, we have how it works section with scroll animation and beautifully designed. And then we have the about us section with animation. Then we have our quality feature section with scroll animation. Then we have our client review slider where you can slide from left to right or right to left. And the slider also has an auto sliding feature. Here you can see it slide automatically. Next, we have this promotion section, and finally, we have the footer section. And here we have a button. So if I click here, it will go to the top. So it's a scroll to top button. And initially it's hidden, but when I start scrolling, it appeared to the screen. So we're going to build this feature also. And now I'm going to show you the dark light feature of this landing page. So here we have the theme toggler. So if I click here, you can see, boom, we have dark mode in our landing page. And you can see how beautiful it's look in the dark mode also. So if I show you the full section in the dark mode, here you can see everything looks perfect in the dark mode also. No color gradient or color related problem in our dark mode. Every section looks amazing. And now I'm going to show you another important feature of our project, which is the responsiveness. So if I inspect and if I select a mobile device, you can see in mobile devices everything fit perfectly. And here we have a burger menu. So if I click here, it will open a sidebar and you can see how beautifully it opens. So first a overlay come to the screen and then the sidebar come to the screen, and you can see the animation, it's very smooth. And you can see every section fit perfectly in our mobile devices, no overflow and nothing. It feels like an app. And if I show you in the iPad devices, you can see in iPad devices it also fit perfectly. So our website is not only mobile responsive, but it is responsive for all other devices. So this is the project we are going to build today, and I'm going to teach you everything from scratch. I'm going to teach you how you can initialize a Next.js project with Tailwind CSS and TypeScript. I'm going to teach you the basic setup of a project, the basic routings in Next.js, how you can create reusable component, how you can create slider, how you can work with third-party libraries, how you can implement dark light feature in your project, how you can make your website fully mobile responsive using the Tailwind version 4. And finally, I'm going to teach you how you can deploy your project in live server like Vercel. So there is a lot of things going on here. So I encourage you to watch the full video for better understanding. The source code of this project will be given in the description. So if you want, you can use the source code for your portfolio or your resume. And the starter file of this project will be also given in the description, where you will find the assets of this project. And if you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section. And without wasting any time, let's start building this amazing landing page. First, we are going to set up our project. So for that, I'm going to create a new folder inside my PC and I'm going to name it food landing YT. and then I'm going to open this folder using Visual Studio Code. And in the Visual Studio Code, I'm going to open a new terminal, and here I'm going to use nps create next app at the rate latest to initialize a latest Next.js project, and then I'm going to add a dot slash so all the packages are installed in our food landing YT folder. Then I'm going to hit enter. So it asked me, would you like to use TypeScript? Yes, we are going to use TypeScript. We are going to use ESLint. We are going to use Tailwind CSS, and we do not need the source directory. And we are going to use the app router, and we are going to use the turbo pack. Turbo pack is new in Next.js 15, so this is for the faster development. So we are going to use the turbo pack also, and we do not need to customize our import aliases, so no. Then I'm going to hit enter. So now this will install all the necessary packages to run a Next.js project. So let's wait some time to complete the installation. The installation is completed and it generated a lot of files and folder. Here the main folder is the app folder. So I'm going to open this, and here we have the favicon, and then we have the global.css. So this is the file where we can write our global CSS. So here we already have some code. So I'm going to remove all of this because we are going to start from scratch. Then we have the layout.tsx. So this is the overall wrapper of our project. For example, if you add a navbar and a footer here, this navbar and footer will be attached to all the pages that we are going to create in this project. So this is wrap our project. This is the overall wrapper. Then we have this page.tsx. So this is the main page. When you go to the localhost 3000, this page will appear to the screen. So here I'm going to remove all of this, and then I'm going to use a shortcut to create the component boilerplate. I'm going to use RAFC to create a component boilerplate, and I'm going to name this homepage. So if you wonder how I create this shortcut for component boilerplate, so you need to install a extension. The extension you need is this one, ES7 plus React Redux React Native snippet. By installing this extension, you can create component boilerplate using the shortcut. Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some Tailwind classes to check if our Tailwind is working or not. So I'm going to use text rate 900 and text 6xl. Then I'm going to run our project. So I'm going to use npm run dev to start our project. Then I'm going to open a browser and go to the localhost 3000. So here you can see we have our large text and red background. That means our Tailwind is working perfectly. Next, what I'm going to do is in our project, we're going to use some images. So first, let's create a image folder inside the public folder. So I'm going to create a images folder, and here I'm going to copy some of the images that we are going to use. And don't worry, all the images are given in the starter file, and the starter file is in the description. By downloading the starter file, you will get all of the images. So I'm going to copy this inside our image folder, and these are some of the images that we are going to use in this project. Next, we need some icons in our project. So for the icons, I'm going to use a npm package, and the npm package we are going to use called React Icons. So if I go to their website, their GitHub page, here you can see they have a lot of different types of icons that you can use in your project. So let's go to their npm pages, and I'm going to copy their npm script, and here I am going to split our terminal and run our npm I React Icons code. So our React Icons is installed successfully. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure our font and metadata. So before that, I'm going to remove these classes because we do not need it. Then go to the layout.tsx. Here you can see they provide us some default font, but we're not going to use the default font. So I'm going to remove this. And here you can see it uses the Google font. So Here I'm going to remove all of this and I'm going to import manrow font, and here I'm going to create a font variable where I'm going to use manrow, and then here we need to pass some properties. So first one is the font width. I'm going to use 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, and finally 800. Then we need to pass the subsets, and here I'm going to use Latin. That's it. Then here I'm going to use our font dot class name. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our home page. So if I inspect and if I hover here, you can see the font is 16 pixel and manrow. That means our font is perfectly working here. Next, we are going to change the metadata. Metadata is very important for SEO purposes. So here for the title, I am going to use food landing page, and I am going to give a description. If you want, you can create a proper description and title for your project. So here I am going to use something like a simple food landing page built with Next.js and Tailwind CSS. So that's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see at the top we now have food landing page. Awesome. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a component folder. Components folder, and inside this we will have a helper folder for our helper component, and we will have a home folder for our home page related component. And here I'm going to create a home.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this home component in our page.tsx. So here in the home page component, I'm going to add our home component. And then I'm going to add all our homepage related component like the hero section, the services section, about us section in the home component, so that our homepage component is clean. So here we are going to add our hero section, our client review, our about us section, and then we add this home to our page. So that's how our home page component will be clean. Now here I'm going to add a class name of overflow hidden, not scroll, overflow hidden, because we don't want any overflow in our project. So this is the basic setup of our project. Our setup is completed. Now I'm going to teach you the basic routings in Next.js. I'm going to explain both dynamic routing as well as static routing. So for that, I'm going to use some example. So first we have localhost 3000. So when I go to the localhost 3000, this page will appear to the screen. Next, we are going to explain localhost 3000 slash, let's say you want to create a about us page. So we are going to build this. Next, we are going to create a nested routing. So let's say localhost 3000 slash about and slash, let's say, service. So we have this type of routing. Next, we are going to explain a dynamic routing. So let's say localhost 3000 slash about slash service slash, then let's say the service ID. It can be 1, it can be 100, it can be 1000. So we are going to explore all of this. So first let's create this about page. So if you want to create an about page, what you need to do is you need to create a folder inside your app. You have to name it about. So if you name it about, then after the localhost 3000, the about will be the URL. And then inside this, we need to create a page.tsx. And it is very important that you must name it page.tsx. Otherwise, it will not work. Then I'm going to use RAFC to create a component boilerplate. And then let's say this is the about page. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I go to the localhost 3000 / about, you can see we are in the about page. So if I zoom, you can see it's about page. Next, let's explore the nested routing. So about / services. So now inside the about we have service. So what we need to do is inside this about folder we need to create another folder, and the folder name will be service. And here in the service we need to create a page.tsx, and let's name it, so RFC. So next let's name it about, let's say service page. Now if I hit save and let's delete this one, so we do not need it. So if I delete, and now if I go to our project, and here you can see now we don't have any page.tsx in our about folder. That's why it's a this page could not be found. Now if I use localhost 3000 / about / service, now you can see we are in the services page. So now we have nested routing here. Next we are going to explore the dynamic routing. So first let's go to the localhost 3000 first, and here in the services I'm going to delete the page.tsx. So let's say we have localhost 3000 / about / services / the id. Then what we need to do is first we need to create the about folder. Then inside the about we have services folder, and then inside this we are going to create another folder with this third bracket format, and inside this we are going to give the name that we want to receive. For example, if you want to receive an id, we are going to name it id. If we have name, we are going to name this name. So let's say we have id, and then inside this folder we need to create a page.tsx. Now if I go to now if I use RFC to create the component boilerplate, let's name this service details page. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so let's go to the localhost 3000 / about / service / let's say the id is 100. Now if I hit enter, you can see we are in the service details page. So now we have the dynamic routing, but how we can get this value from here? So to get this value, what we need to do is we need to first convert this into a async component, because in Next.js 15 we need to do the async wait to get the param. Then here we will get params, and then we will get the id by await params dot id. Now let's add the id here. So id, and if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our id 100. Let's say if the id is 10,000, now you can see we have the 10,000. So that's how we are going to create a dynamic routing in Next.js. Now let's go to the localhost 3000 and let's reset this. So now you have the understanding of how static routing works, how dynamic routing works, and you also have the knowledge of how nested routing works. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this about because we do not need it, so it's deleted. So now you have a understanding of how routing works in Next.js. So that's it for the routing. Now we are going to implement the navbar. So if I show you the navbar, here you can see we have some logo, some nav links, a join now button, and a theme toggler icon. So to build this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it navbar. And inside this navbar, I'm going to create a nav.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate. Then I'm going to add another one, which is mobile nav.tsx. So this one is for the mobile navigation bar, which is the sidebar. Then I'm going to create another file, which is responsive nav.tsx. So I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and here we're going to add our functionality to make our navbar responsive. So now in the responsive nav, I'm going to add our navbar as well as the mobile navbar. That's it. And then we're going to add a responsive nav in our layout folder. So in the layout, first we will have our navbar. So here I'm going to use responsive. So responsive nav. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our nav, mobile nav, and home text. So first we are going to start building our navbar for large screen. So let's go to the nav.tsx, and here at the first div we are going to add some class name. So first is the transition all. So where I'm using the transition because in the deployed version, if you notice that when I start scrolling, the navbar becomes fixed and it has some shadow. It changes background color. In the dark mode, you can also see that it changes background color. So that's why we want that the change is in smooth way. So that's why we are using the transition. So after the transition all, we have a duration of 200 milliseconds. Then we have height will be 212 VH, Z index will be 100, this one will be fixed. Then we have width of 4. Now if I hit save, and then inside this div we'll have another div with class name of flex, items will be centered, height will be full, justify will be between, width will be 90%. In the extra large screen, width will be 80%, MX will be auto. Now inside this div we have logo first. So if I show you the logo, here we have an icon with a circular form like a circular background, and then we have a text. So if you want, you can use any image for the logo also. Now let's go here, and here first we have a div with class name of flex, items will be center, spacex will be 2. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of width 10, height 10, BG will be blue 950. In the dark mode, so we are applying some class name that are for the dark mode. So when we switch to the dark mode, the background will be changed to white. So BG will be white. So we are going to implement the dark light functionality later. So in the dark mode, we have background of white. Then we have a rounded full, flex, items will be center, justify will be center, and flex will be in the column direction. That's it. Now inside this we are going to add an icon which is MD delivery dining, and this icon is coming from React icon. If you remember, in our setup process we install the React icons. Now here the icon will have some class name. So we're going to add a width of 6, height of 6, and then we have text color will be white, and in the dark mode, so when we switch to the dark mode, we'll have a text color of black. That's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our icon, but the background is not showing because we have added a dark mode in our project, and our system is in the dark mode. That's why it's using the dark classes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the dark classes for now. When we implement the dark light feature, we are going to add our dark classes here. So now if I hit save, and if I go to our project, now you can see our logo looks beautiful. So after this div, we have a h1 with the text foodie, and this h1 will have a class name of text excel. This one will be hidden smaller devices. This one will be block. So in the mobile devices we are not going to show the text, we are just going to show the logo. Then what we have is in medium screen text will be to excel, and text color will be black, and font bold. Now if I hit save and go to our project, there you can see we have our logo and the text foodie. Awesome. Next we have is this footer links. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder at the root level, and I'm going to name it constant, and inside this I'm going to create a file called constant.ts. So here I'm going to add our constant variable. So here I'm going to export const navlinks and here we will have an array of object, and it will contain id of 1, a url. So for now I'm going to use hash, and then we have a label. So first one is home. I'm going to then copy this multiple times for our multiple navlinks. So the second one will have an id of 2, and the label will be restaurant. Then we have id 3, and the label will be features. Then we have id of 4, and the text will be menu. Then we have id of 5, and this one will be testimonial. Then we have id of 6, and we have contact. So by doing this you can easily add new navlinks here, or you can delete navlinks from here, and we are going to map through all of this, and you will be added only one design, and that will apply to all the links. So let's go to the nav.tsx, and here after the logo we'll have our nav links, and here first we have a div with class name of hidden. So in the smaller devices the nav links will be hidden. In large screen this one will be flex. Then the items will be center, SpaceX will be tab. Now inside this div, we are going to map through our nav link. So we are going to import it from our constant, and I am going to map through it, get the individual link, and then I'm going to return a link component from our next link. And the link, first I'm going to add a key. The key will be link dot id, then a href. The href will be link dot url, and then we have some class name here. Class name will be text black. Then we have hover effect. So in the hover, the text will be green 700, and font bold, transition all, and duration will be 200 milliseconds. That's it. Now inside this link we'll have a p with link dot label. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our nav links with the hover effect, and it looks very nice. So by mapping through our links, you can see we only added classes for one link and it will apply to all other links. So after the nav links, we have a button. So we have buttons here. So here we have two buttons. One is not two, three buttons. One is the join now, one is the theme toggler, and in the mobile view here we will have a menu icon. So let's go to our code. So this div will have a class name of flex, items will be center, and SpaceX will be 4. And inside this div we have our button with the text join now. Let's add a comment here, join now button. So this button will have a class name of bg blue 950, then px will be 8, py will be 2.5, text color will be white, font will be bold, rounded lg. In the hover, the background will be black, the transition all, duration will be 300 millisecond, and cursor will be pointer. That's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our beautiful join now button with hover effect, just like this one. Next we have the theme toggler, but we are not going to build it now. We're going to implement the theme toggler when we work on the dark light functionality. So here I'm just going to add a comment that theme toggler. Then we have our menu icon, and here we will have an icon called high bars bottom right, and this one will have a class name of width 8, height 8, cursor pointer, and text color will be blue 950. Now if I hit save, here you can see we have our menu icon, but this menu icon will be hidden in the large screen and it will appear only on the mobile devices. So what I'm going to do is, in the large screen I'm going to make it hidden. So now if I hit save, now you can see it's hidden, and you can see if I inspect, our nav links are now hidden and we have our menu icon visible. So this is our large screen navigation bar. Next, what we are going to do is, in the deployed version you can see When I start scrolling, our navbars become fixed and have some shadow. So now we are going to implement this feature. So for that reason, let's go to the nav.tsf, and first I am going to make it a client component using use client. In Next.js, all components are server component, and in server component you can't use hooks. It will give you error. So to use hooks, you need to convert a component into a client component, and you can convert a component to a client component by using a use client at the top. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a state variable here, and I'm going to name it navbg and set navbg, and I'm going to use state, and initially the navbg will be false. Then I'm going to add a use effect here, use effect hooks, and I'm going to add an empty dependency array, and inside this I'm going to create a function called handler, and here I'm going to check if window dot scroll in the y direction is greater than or equal 90. So if we start scrolling, in that case we are going to set our navbg to true, and if window dot scroll in the y direction is less than 90, then we are going to set our navbg to false. That's it. And then I'm going to add window, and then I'm going to add event listener to our window. So add event listener, and we're going to listen for the scroll event, and we're going to run our function handler. So it is a best practice to remove event listener in the cleanup function in the use effect. So I'm going to add a return statement here, and I'm going to copy this line and paste it here, and I'm going to use remove event listener. That's it. Now based on the navbg, we're going to change our design in this step. So that's why we need to make this a template literal so that we can insert a dynamic value or dynamic style. So I'm going to make this a template literal format, and here we're going to check if navbg is true. If navbg is true, then we're going to make our background white. We're going to add a shadow of MD, otherwise we'll just have fixed. That's it. Now what I'm going to do is, so here we have a mistake, so the false will not be a string, so this one will be false. That's it. Next I'm going to add some height here so that we can see the effect. So I'm going to use a height of 2000 pixels. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I start scrolling, you can see we have a background and a shadow, and it looks awesome. So this feature is completed now. Now I am going to remove the height from here, and let's go to the nav.tsx. So here we added our features. Next we are going to work on our mobile navigation bar. So let's go to the mobile nav.tsx, and let's see what we have in our mobile navigation bar. So if I inspect, if I select a mobile view for our deployed version, here you can see we have our logo, our join now button, theme toggler, and the menu icon. And when I click on the menu icon, a sidebar is open with smooth animation, and it closes with smooth animation. And you can see first a dark overlay come to the screen, and then the sidebar. So we are going to start building this. So let's go to our responsive nav, and then inside this div we have overlay first. So overlay, and here we have a div with class name of fixed. Inset will be 0. We're going to use a transform transition all. Duration will be 500 millisecond. Z index will be 1002. Background will be black. Opacity will be 70. Width will be full, and height will be screen. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our overlay, black overlay. Then after the overlay, we have our nav links. So here I am going to use another div with class name of text white fixed, justify center, flex will be in the column direction, height will be full. We're going to use transform transition all. Duration will be 500 millisecond, and we're going to add a delay of 300 milliseconds so that first the overlay come to the screen and then the sidebar. And width will be 80%, and in smaller devices width will be 60%, and background will be blue 950. Then we have space y of 6 and z index of 1050. So that's it. Now inside this div I'm going to map through our nav links from our constant, and we'll get the individual link, and then I'm going to return a link component from next link, and the link component will have some properties. So first one is the key. The key will be link.id. Then we have href will be link.url, and then inside this link we have a p tag with our link.label, and this p tag will have a class name of text white. Width will be fit, text 20 pixel, margin left will be 12. We have a border of bottom 1.5 pixel, padding bottom will be 1. Then we have border white, and smaller devices text will be 30 pixel. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our nav links and sidebars. So just like this one, and we need this cross icon now. So let's go here. So after the nav links we have our close icon. So here I am going to use a CG close from React icon, and this one will have a class name of absolute. Top will be 0.7 RAM, right will be 1.4 RAM, smaller devices width will be 8, smaller devices height will be 8, width will be 6, height will be 6. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our closed icon, which looks awesome, just like this one. So our mobile sidebar is completed. Now we need to implement the functionality to open and close the sidebar. So let's go to the responsive nav, and here I'm going to convert this into a client component using use client, and then inside this I'm going to create a state variable show nav and set show nav, and then I'm going to use state, and initially this one will be false. Then I'm going to create two functions. First one is open nav handler. So this function will set our show nav to true, and then another function which is close nav handler. This function will set our show nav to false. Now we need to pass these functions to our nav and mobile nav. So in the nav we are going to pass some props. So first one is open nav, and we are going to pass open nav handler function as a props in our nav. And in the mobile nav we are going to pass show nav as a props, and we're also going to pass close nav handler as a props. So close nav will be close nav handler, and we are using TypeScript, so we need to receive these props and give them the proper type definition. So let's go to our Navbar first, and here at the top we'll receive props. So here I am using type and props. You can name it anything. You can name it nav props, you can name it props, you can name it navigation props if you want. So I am simply using the props here, and inside this we are receiving a function. So we're receiving open nav, which is a function that returns void. Now I'm going to pass our props in our component, and then I'm going to import the open nav function. And when we click on our burger menu, so in the on click in the menu icon, we're going to run our open nav function. That's it. Next, let's go to the mobile nav, and here at the top type props, and here we are receiving two props. One is show nav, which is a type of boolean, and we are receiving a close nav, which is a function that returns void. That's it. Now we are going to pass the prop here, and we are going to import the close nav and show nav. Now when we click on this cross icon in the on click, we are going to close our navbar using close nav function. That's it. Next, based on this show nav, we are going to show our sidebar or hide our sidebar. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a variable, and I'm going to name this nav open. So here we're going to check if show nav is true, then we are going to translate x of 0. Otherwise we are going to use minus translate x minus 100%. So here we do not need to use the minus. So translate x minus 100%. So if the show nav is true, we are going to show the sidebar. If it is false, we are going to hide the sidebar. Now we have to insert this in our overlay as well as our nav links sidebar. So we need to convert this into a template literal so that we can insert dynamic classes. So I am going to convert this into a template literal, and then remove the double quotation here, and here add the nav open. That's it. Next I'm going to do same for this sidebar. So I'm going to convert this into a template literal, and then here I'm going to add our nav open. That's it. Now let's go to our project. So now if I click here, you can see our slide bar opens with smooth animation. And if I click here, it closes the nav. Awesome. So it's working perfectly with the smooth animation. So now if I show you, so this is our large screen navigation bar where we have nav links, buttons, and then we have this responsive navigation bar where we have this burger menu. So if I click here, it will open our sidebar and close the sidebar. Awesome. So our navbar is completed. Now we are going to implement our dark light feature in our project. To implement this feature, we are going to use a npm package, and the npm package we are going to use is next themes. This package helps us to manage our dark state and light state, and we do not need to do anything with the local storage or any kind of Redux store or anything. We just need to use this next theme, and you can see it's very popular. Its weekly download is a lot. So now I am going to copy this, and if you want you can learn more about by reading that documentation. So then I'm going to open my terminal and I'm going to first install next theme. The installation is completed. Next what I'm going to do is in our component folder I'm going to create a HOC folder for a higher order component, and here I'm going to create a provider.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And then here we will receive children as a props. So we're going to receive an object where we receive a children, which is a type of React node. And here we are going to import the children. And here we are not going to use the div, we are going to use the theme provider from next theme. So we are going to import next, we are going to import theme provider from next theme, and then inside this we are going to have our children, and then in the theme provider we are going to pass some property. First one is the attributes. The attributes will be class, then we are going to enable system, and then the default theme will be the system preference. So if your system preference is dark mode, then it will apply the dark mode. If the system preference is light mode, it will apply the light mode. So that's it. Now go to the layout.tsx, and here wrap everything inside the body with provider. So I'm going to import provider from our higher order component folder, and then I am going to wrap everything inside the body with the provider. And at the HTML I'm going to use suppress hydration warning. That's it. Next, let's go to the website, and if you search for Tailwind CSS dark mode and then go to their website, and here you will find that toggling the dark mode manually, we need to add this custom variant. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to open our global CSS, and I'm going to paste it here and hit save. And now if I go to our project, so nothing changed. So let's go to our project, and next what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a theme toggler component in our helper. So inside the helper I'm going to create a theme toggler.tsx, and then I'm going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and here I'm going to convert this component into a client component using use client, and then inside this first I'm going to create a state variable which is mounted and set mounted, and I'm going to use state, and initially it will be false. Then I'm going to get some values from use theme hooks. So I'm going to import the use theme from next theme, and I'm going to call this, and here we will get theme. So theme, we will get the theme, the set theme, and the system theme. That's it. Then I'm going to use the use effect hooks, and here I'm going to use an empty dependency array, and inside this I'm going to set our is mounted to true. That's it. And then after this I'm going to check if it is not mounted, then I'm going to return null. That's it. And then I'm going to find what is the current theme. So the current theme, and we're going to check our theme. If the theme is system, then the system theme will be the theme. So that's how we're going to find the current theme. And then inside this we're going to use a button, and the button, when we click on this button, so in the on click we're going to set our theme. So we're going to set our theme, and we're going to check if the current theme is the dark theme, then we're going to make this a light theme. Otherwise, if it is a light theme, we're going to make it the dark theme. That's it. Then this button will have some class name of padding 2, transition, width will be 10, height will be 10, bg will be blue 950. Then in the dark mode the background will be white, rounded will be full, and this one will be flex, items will be center, justify will be center, and flex will be in the column direction. That's it. Now inside this button we are going to check if the current theme is dark, then we will have our dark mode design. Otherwise we will have our light mode design. So in the dark mode we are going to use a bi sun icon from React icon, and this icon will have a class name of text white. In the dark mode the text will be black, width will be 7, height will be 7, cursor will be pointer. And if it is light mode we're going to use bi moon from React icon, and here we're going to add some class name text of white. Then in the dark mode the text will be black, width will be 7, height will be 7, cursor will be pointer. That's it. So this is our theme toggler. Now let's go to the navbar and nav.tsx, and here we have the comment for theme toggler. Here I'm going to add our theme toggler component. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our pattern theme toggler. So if I click here, you can see we are in the dark mode and our background is dark automatically. So if I click here, we are in the light mode. You can see we implement the dark mode and light mode very easily using the next thing. Now what we need to do is we need to change this Navbar's colors so that it adjusts with the dark mode. So let's go to the nav.tsx and go to the top, and here if the navbg is true, the background will be white, but in the dark mode the background will be gray 900, and then in the logo in this div the background is blue 950, but in the dark mode the background will be white. That's it. Next, for this logo the text will be white, but in the dark mode the text will be black. Then this h1 the text is black, but in the dark mode text will be white. That's it. Next we have our nav links, and here this link we have text black, but in the dark mode the text will be white. In the hover text is green 700, but in the dark hover what we want is the text is green 400. That's it. So in the dark hover text is green 400. That's it. Next we have the button. Here we have bg blue 950, but in the dark mode the bg will be white. In the dark mode the text will be black. In the dark mode, when we hover in the dark mode, the background will be bg gray 200. That's it. And for the burger menu here, the text in the dark mode will be white. So now if I hit save, then let's go to the home.tsx and let's add some height. So I'm going to use a height of 2000 pixels. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see our nav links and logo are fit with the dark mode, and it have now different color. Our button also have different color. So now if I go to the light mode, you can see in light mode we have black color and it fit perfectly, and it changing its color based on the theme. If I inspect, here you can see our burger menu is white, but in the light mode it's black. So our dark light functionality is working perfectly, and you can see how easy it is to implement. Now you can add this feature any of your website, any of your project. It can be portfolio, it can be other project also. And in the light mode, if I start scrolling, you can see we have this white background with shadow, but in the dark background, if I start scrolling, you can see we have our blue background, which looks awesome. So everything works perfectly in the dark mode. So let's go to our code and let's remove this height here for now, and that's it. Our dark light functionality is completed. Next, we are going to build the hero section. So if I show you the hero section in our deployed version, here you can see we have some text content and the image content. So to build this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name this hero. And inside this, I'm going to create a file called hero.tsx. And then here I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So here we will have our hero. So now if I hit save, and go to our project. Here you can see we have our text hero. So next go to the hero.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of relative with full height will be screen. In smaller devices height will be screen. Then we have flex. Actually we don't need the smaller devices height screen because our height will always be screen size. Then we have flex. Justify will be center, and flex will be in the column direction. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see now the hero text is in the middle. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of width will be 90%. In medium screen width will be 80%. Image will be auto. Then we have grid. Items will be center. Grid calls will be 1 for smaller devices, and in extra large grid calls will be 2, and gap will be 10. That's it. Now inside this div we have our text content. So this div is for the text content, and then we have image content. So this div is for the image content, so we are dividing it in two parts. Now let's first start with the text content. So here first we have a h1, and the content I am going to copy it from our deployed version. So the content is your favorite food delivered your home, and you can see the delivered has different color. So first let's copy this and then paste it here and use this pen, and inside this pen we're going to add our delivered text. Now this h1 will have a class name of text 3xl. In medium screen text will be 4xl. In larger screen text will be 5xl. Margin top will be 6. Margin bottom will be 6. Font will be extra bold. Then we have leading of 2.5 RAM. Then we have in medium screen leading will be 4 RAM. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and here you can see we have our heading, your favorite food delivered your home, but we need to change the color of the text delivery. So let's go here, and this pen will have a class name of text pink 600. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our delivered text color changed. Next we have this subheading, so I'm going to copy this from here. Let's go here. So I'm going to add a comment here that this one is the heading. Then we have subheading, and here I'm going to use a p tag with the text, and this p tag will have a class name of text small. In medium screen text will be base. Font will be medium. Text will be gray 800. In the dark mode the text will be gray 400. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text. Awesome. Next what we have this enter your address input box. So let's go to our project, and here after the p tag we have our address input, and here we first have a div with class name of width will be full, margin top will be 8, margin bottom will be 8, max width will be MD. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of flex, items will be center, then height will be 40, overflow hidden, VG will be gray 100, and shadow will be MD. Shadow MD. That's it. Now inside this we have an icon which is gr map location from React icon, and here we have a class name of width 5, height 5, and text color is black. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our box and our icon. Now let's go to our project code, and this icon is inside another div. I'm going to cut it and add a div here, and inside this div we have this icon, and the div has some class name. So class name will be px4 text gray 500. So now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see we have some padding here and it looks awesome. So after this div we have a input of type text, and the placeholder will be enter your address. Then we have some class name, flex will be 1, px will be 2, text small, text black, PG will be transparent, outline none, and height will be full. Then after the input we have a button, and the button will have a class name of bg gray 900, text white, px4, then we have height of full. In hover the bg will be gray 800, and this one will be flex, items will be center, and justify center. Now let's hit save, and inside this button we'll have a fa location arrow icon from React icon, and here we have some class name of width 4 and height. Now let's hit save and go to our project, and here you can see we have our input box where you can type your address, and we have this button with hover effect. So let's add a cursor pointer here. So here let's add a cursor pointer. Now if I hit save, now it looks amazing just like this one. Next we have this App Store and Google Play button. So let's go to our project. So after the address input we have the download text. Here we have a p tag with class name of text gray 700. Then in the dark mode the text gray will be 400, text will be small, and margin bottom will be 6. And the content I am going to copy this from here. It's apps available to download, so let's copy this and then paste it here. Now let's hit save, and now you can see we have these apps available to download on text. Next, after the p tag, first we have app store button. So app store button, here we have a div with first name of flex, items will be not items, spaces will be 4, and then inside this div we have a tag with the href of hash. So the href will be hash and underscore. Then we have class name of flex, items will be center, we are going to use group, we have a border will be gray 400, px will be 4, py will be 3, rounded will be md, in the hover bg will be gray 950, and transition of duration 300 milliseconds. Now inside this we will have an icon of fa apple from React icon, and this one will have a class name of text to excel, margin right will be 2, in the group hover the text color will be white, then transition all, and duration will be 300 milliseconds. Let's hit save. Then we have a div, and inside this div we have a p tag with the text download on the, and then we have another p tag with app store. Then this p tag will have a class name of text extra small, in the group hover the text will be white, transition all, and duration will be 300 milliseconds. Now this p tag, second p tag will have class name of text small, then we have font semi bold, in the group hover we have text white, transition all, and duration 300 milliseconds. Now let's hit save and go to our project, and here you can see we have our download on the app store button with the hover effect, and you can see how beautiful it's look, just like this one. Next we have this Google Play button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. So let's copy and paste it underneath, and this one is the Google Play Store button. So Google Play Store button, and here everything will be same. This will be the download on the, and here we have Google Play, and the icon will be FA Google Play. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our button, but they are top of each other, but this one will be side by side. So we don't need this div here, and this a tag will be after this a tag. Now if I hit save and now they are side by side. So now you can see we have the gap between them. Awesome. Just like this one. So after the button we have this image. So let's go to our project, and we have this image content div, and this div will have a class name of image auto. This one will be hidden in smaller devices. In extra large screen we're going to show the image, and inside this div we'll have our image from next image, and this image will have the source of slash images slash hero.png. The alt will be image, and width will be 500 and height will be 500. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so the image is not showing. So here I find the problem, and that is a silly mistake. So we have the images, but inside the images we don't have any image. All the images are in the public folder. So when I copy the images, I mistakenly copy this in the public folder, not in the image folder. So what can I do is I just copy all of the images back to our images folder. So I copy all the images in the images folder. So now if I hit save and go to our project, and let's reload the page, now you can see we have our image, and that's awesome. Our section looks amazing. Now let me show you the dark mode of this hero section. So if I click here, you can see in the dark mode everything looks awesome. So we have different color based on this dark mode. Now if I show you the responsiveness, so if I select a mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices our hero section fit perfectly, and in the iPad devices our hero section also fit perfectly. So our hero section is completed. Next we are going to build the restaurant section. So if I show you the restaurant section, here you can see we have a section heading, and we have some images with the restaurant name and some text. Then we have this button. So now we are going to build this section. So for that I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it restaurant, and inside this folder I'm going to create a file called restaurant.tsx, and then I'm going to use RAXE to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So after the hero we'll have our restaurant. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text restaurant. Next go to the restaurant.tsx, and here the first div will have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of text excel. Smaller devices, text will be 2XL, text will be center, font will be extra bold. Then we have the text. Inside this we have our section text. So I'm going to copy this section text from our deployed version. So this is the text: available restaurant nearby area. So copy this and paste it here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our heading, section heading. So you can add a comment here like section heading, Then after this div, we have another div with class name of width will be 80%. Then we have mx of auto. We're going to use grid in medium screen. Grid calls will be 1. In larger screen, grid calls will be 2. Then in extra large, grid calls will be 3. Gap will be 10. Margin top will be 14. Next, inside this div, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate component for this image, the restaurant name and the text, so that we can reuse this card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file here and I'm going to name it restaurant card.tsx, and then I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And here inside this div we'll have a div, and inside this div I'm going to add our restaurant card, and we're going to pass some props in our restaurant card. So the first one is the image, so we're going to pass the image. The first one, the image will be images slash r1.jpg, and then we're going to pass a title. For the first one, we have the title. I'm going to copy this from our deployed version. So this is the first title, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here. And we have 5 more, so I'm going to copy this 5 more times. And then the second one will have r2 as the image, then r3, r4, r5 and r6. Now I am going to copy the title from our deployed version. So this is our second title, so copy this and paste it here. Then let's copy the third one. This is the third one, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Then let's copy the fourth one, so this is the fourth one, and I'm going to paste it here. And then this is the fifth one, and let's finally copy the sixth one. Then I'm going to paste it here. That's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our 6 restaurant card. Next we are going to implement the restaurant card. So let's go to the restaurant card.tsx, and here we need to receive our props. I'm going to use type props, and here we are receiving the title, which is a type of string, and we are going to receive image, which is a type of string. Now here I'm going to pass our props, and I'm going to import the image and title. Now inside this div, first we will have our image, so I'm going to use Next.js image component, and here the source will be the image we received as a props. The alt, let's use img for the alt, and then the width will be 400 and height will be 400. Then we have some class name of width full, height will be 250 pixel, and object cover. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our 6th image and it looks beautiful. So next, after the image, we have each one with the title. This h1 will have a class name of margin top of 4, width will be fit. In the dark mode, in the hover text color will be amber 300, and in the light mode If I hover, the text will be blue 950. Then we're going to add a transition of all. Duration will be 200 milliseconds. And then we have cursor pointer. Text will be base, and smaller devices text will be large and font will be bold. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our title, which looks awesome, and we have our hover effect also, just like this one. Next we have this tags. So let's go to our project. So after the h1 we have a div with class name of flex. Items will be center, font will be medium, margin top will be 3, spacex will be 2, and then inside this div we have a p tag with class name of bg blue 950, then px will be 3, py will be 1.5, then we have rounded full, text will be small, then we have in smaller devices text will be base and text color will be white. Now if I hit save, and inside this p tag we first have American, and then I'm going to copy this 2 more times, and the second one will be fast food, and the third one will be burgers. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our tags, which looks amazing, just like this one. Next we have this discover more button. So let's create this. So for this, let's go to our code and restaurant.tsx. Here after completing this, the restaurant card section, we are going to have another div with class name of margin top will be 16, text will be center, and inside this div we'll have a button, and the button text will be discover more. Then I'm going to add a HTML entity, which is this one. This will show a arrow. So if I save and go to our project, here you can see we have our button with this arrow, and this code is for the arrow. Now this button will have a class name of px9, py will be 2.5, then in smaller devices px will be 12, smaller devices py will be 3.5. Then we have cursor of pointer, rounded will be full, then we have font will be bold, text will be base, smaller devices text will be large, then we have background will be client 700, then text color will be white, in the hover the bg will be client 950, transition all, duration will be 300 milliseconds. In the dark mode the background will be client 300, and in the dark hover, so in the dark mode when we hover the background will be client 200. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our button with the hover effect, which looks amazing. and the full section looks amazing. Let's show this in the dark mode. So if I click here in the dark mode, you can see in dark mode it also looks amazing. Here we have different hover effect and different button color. So here what we can do is in the dark mode the text color will be black. Let's see in the deployed version. So you can see in the deployed version in the dark mode the text color is black. So let's make it black here. So in the dark mode text color will be black. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see in the dark mode the text color is black, and in the light mode the color is white, and it's adapt perfectly with the dark mode and light mode. So our section looks awesome. So let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and select the mobile device, you can see in mobile devices these sections fit perfectly. And if I show you in the iPad devices, you can see in iPad devices it also fit perfectly. So our restaurant section is completed. Next we are going to build the category section. So if I show you the category section, here you can see we have a section heading and a list of category. So now we are going to build this. So for this, let's go to our home, and here I'm going to create a folder called category, and inside this I'm going to create a category.tsx, and then I'm going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate. Then I'm going to add this in our home. After the restaurant, I'm going to add our category. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text category. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy some category data here. So let me first copy the data here. So here you can see we have a array of object with our category list. Here we have name, for example pizza, then we have breakfast, Japanese, halal, dessert, and all of this category data. You can use ChatGPT to generate these types of category data if you want, or you can just type it here from here. So this is our categories data. Then here the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this we have a h1 with the text popular categories by food, and this h1 will have a class name of text excel. Smaller devices, text will be to excel, text will be center. Then we have font extra bold. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our section heading, but here we have some typing mistake. So let's copy the text from here and then paste it here. So that's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our section heading popular categories by food. Then after this h1 we have a div with class name of flex, not flex, class name will be with 80%, mx will be auto, margin top will be 10. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of flex. Then we have flex wrap, then gap will be 4, justify will be center. Now inside this div we are going to map to our categories, and we will get the individual category, and we will get the index, and here we are going to return a span, and this span we are going to pass first the key will be index means I here, And then here we have some class name. The class name will be px6, py will be 3, rounded full. Then we have cursor of pointer. In hover, the background will be emerald 600. In the hover, the text will be white. Transition will be all. We have duration of 300 millisecond. BG will be gray 100. In the dark mode, the BG will be gray 800. In the dark mode, text will be white and text will be gray 900, and font semi bold and text large. And inside this div we will have our category. Now if I hit save, so category dot name. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our popular categories with this hover effect, and you can see this looks amazing. And if I show you in the dark mode, you can see in dark mode it also looks amazing. Let me show you the responsiveness. So if I inspect and if I select a mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices it wrap because we use the flex wrap and it fit perfectly. And in the iPad, you can see in iPad it also fit perfectly. So our category section is completed. Next, we are going to build the how it works section. So if I show you the section, here you can see we have section 8 heading. Let's see how it works. And then we have the card of how it works. So to build this section, I'm going to create a new folder inside our home, and I'm going to name it how it works. And then I'm going to create a file here called how it work.tsx. And then I'm going to use RAFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So after the category, I'm going to add how it works. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have the text how it works. Then let's go to this section, and the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this div we'll have a h1 with the text. So I'm going to copy the text from our deployed version. So let's copy from here and I'm going to paste it here. This h1 will have a class name of text excel. In smaller devices, text will be to excel, text center, font will be extra bold. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our section heading. Then after this we have another div with class name of width will be 80%, image will be auto, margin top will be 16, grid calls will be 1, in medium screen grid calls will be 2, in extra large grid calls will be 3, and gap will be 10. And inside this div, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate component for this card so that we can reuse the card. So for this, I'm going to create a new component here called how it work card.tsx, and then I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate. And then here inside this div, we'll have another div, and then inside this div, I'm going to add our how it work card. Now here we're going to pass some props. The first prop is the number. So this is the first step. Then we have the image will be slash images slash w1.png. Then we have a title, and then we have a description, and we have three of them, so I'm going to copy it two more times. Now I'm going to copy the text and description from our deployed version. So let's go to the deployed version. So this is our first title, then this is the first description. I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Then this is the second title, so copy this, and the number will be 2, and let's copy the description. That's it. Now this one is number 3, and the image will be w2 for the second and w3 for the third. Let's copy the third title and paste it here, and finally the third description. So copy this and paste it here. Now we have to receive this prop, so let's go to the how it works card, and here we'll have type props, and inside the props we are going to use the image of type string, and then we are receiving a number of type string, then we're receiving the title of type string, and then the description of type string. That's it. Now here we are going to pass our props, and we're going to import the description, the image, the number, and the title. Now here we have a div, and inside this div we have another div with class name of related. Now inside this div we will have an image, so I'm going to use next image, and the source will be the image that we are receiving as a props. The alt will be img, the width will be 250, and height will be 250. Then we have some class name, not children. Class name will be object contain. Then we have image of auto. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our 3 image. Awesome. So after the image we have a div with the number, and this div will have a class name of width 14, height 14, bg will be ping 600, text will be white, text excel, font will be bold, flex, item center, justify center, flex will be in the column direction. Then we have absolute, top 0, left 0, and rounded 4. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our numbering, so 1, 2, and 3, just like this one. Then what we have is, so after this step we have a h1 with our title, then we have a p tag with the description. Now the h1 will have a class name of margin top of 6, text will be extra large, font bold, text center, and the description will have class name of text center, smaller devices width will be 80%. Image will be auto. Text color will be gray 700. In the dark mode, the text color will be gray 300. Margin top will be 3. Font will be medium. Now let's hit save. Then after the description, we have another p tag with the text start earning, and then we have a HTML code for the arrow, and this p tag will have class name of margin top of 4, text base, font will be bold, text color will be blue 800. In the dark mode, text color will be blue 400. In the hover, the text color will be blue 600. Transition all, duration 150 millisecond, cursor pointer, and text center. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our title, description, and start learning button. Awesome. Now let's check this in the dark mode. You can see in the dark mode it also looks amazing. Now if I show you the responsiveness, if I inspect and if I show you in the mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices it fit perfectly, and here the text looks much bigger. So let's go to our code and let's use, in smaller devices text will be Excel, otherwise text will be large. Now if I hit save and go to our code, now it looks good. So now you can see in mobile devices it fit perfectly. Let's check on the iPad devices. In iPad it also fits perfectly. So our how it works section is complete. Next we are going to build the about section. So if I show you the about section, here you can see we have image and we have the about text. So to build this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home and I'm going to name it about, and inside this I'm going to create a about.tsx, and then I'm going to use rfc to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So after the how it works, we're going to have our about. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text about. Now let's go to the about.tsx, and the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this div we'll have another div with class name of width will be 80%, image will be auto. Then we have grid calls will be 1, and in larger screen grid calls will be 2, gap will be 10, and items will be center. Now if I hit save, and inside this tab we have our image content. So this tab is for the image content, and then we have the text content. So this tab is for the text content. So we are using grid and separate the width in two parts, one part for the image and another part for the text content. Now in the image content div, so we are going to use a image component from next image, and here the source will be slash images slash a.png, then the width will be 800, and then the height will be 800. Now if I hit save, and here we need to pass the alt tag, so alt will be image. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our image content. Awesome. Next, we need the text content. So in the text content, inside this, first we have h1, and the content I am going to copy it from our deployed version. So let's copy it from here. So I'm going to copy this and paste it inside our h1. Now this h1 will have a class name of text excel. In smaller devices, text will be 2xl. In medium screen, text will be 3xl. In larger screen, text will be 4xl. Font will be extra bold. Then leading will be 8. In medium screen, leading will be 12. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our title, just like this one. Next we have the short description. I'm going to copy this short description from here. Then in our code, after the h1 we will have a p tag with our description, and this p tag will have class name of margin top of 4, leading will be 6. Then we have in smaller devices, leading will be 8, leading 8. Then we have text gray of 800, and in the dark mode the text will be gray 300, and then font medium, text small, and smaller devices text base. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our short description just like this one. Next we have this list. So after the p tag we have a div with class name of margin top of 8. So here we are missing the div. Now it's okay. So margin top will be 8, and then inside this div we'll have another div with class name of flex. Margin top will be 8. Items will be center. Then we have SpaceX 6. Then inside this div we have a p tag with 0 1, and this p tag will have a class name of text 3xl. In medium screen, text will be 5xl. Opacity will be 40. Font will be bold. And if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our 0 1, just like this one. Next, after the p tag we have another div, and inside this div we have a h1 and a p tag. So in the h1 we have the content here, so easy to use application. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here, and then in the p tag we have this description text. I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Now the h1 will have a class name of text base. Smaller devices, text will be large. Then font will be extra bold, and then the p tag will have a class name of margin top of 2. Text will be gray 800, and in the dark mode the text will be gray 300. Font will be medium, text small, and smaller devices text will be base. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our first list with the title and the short description, just like this one. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this div two more time. So let's copy this two more time, and I'm going to change the title. So this is the second title. The description will be same. If you want, you can change the description also. So this is the second one, and here the numbering will be 02, and this is the third one, and here we have this title 100% reliable privacy. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see now we have the three list with the title and description, and this section looks awesome. Now if I show you this in the dark mode, you can see in dark mode it also fit perfectly and it looks amazing. Now let me show you the responsiveness of this section. So if I select mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices everything fit perfectly. And let's see in the iPad devices. In iPad devices it also fit perfectly. So our about section is completed. Next we are going to build the feature section. So if I show you the feature section, here you can see we have some feature list. So to build this section, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it feature. And inside this I'm going to create a file called feature.tsx, and then I'm going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So after the add, I'm going to add our feature. Now I'm going to hit save, and if I go to our project, here you can see we have our text feature. Now let's go to the feature.tsx, and here the first div will have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom will be 16, and then inside this div we'll have a h1, and here we will have our section heading. So I'm going to copy the section heading text from here. So let's copy this and then paste it here. Now this h1 will have a class name of text excel, smaller devices, text will be 2xl, text center, then font will be extra bold. And if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our section heading. So after the section heading we have another div with class name of width will be 80%, image will be auto, margin top will be 16, we'll have grid calls will be 1, and smaller devices read calls will be 2, and in larger screen read calls will be 3, gap will be 10. Now inside this div what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate component for this feature card. So I'm going to create a new file inside our feature, and I'm going to name it feature card.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate. And then here inside this div we'll have another div, and then inside this div we will have our feature card, and here we're going to pass some props. So for the first one we're going to pass a props of icon. The icon will be slash images slash f1.svg. Then we're going to pass the title. The title will be, for the first one is analytic, so analytic business. This is save. So we have 5 more of them, so I'm going to copy it 5 more times. And for the second one we have f2, for the third one we have f3, fourth one we have f4, fifth one we have f5, and for the sixth one we have f6. And the second title will be wide coverage map. Then the third one will be artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence. Then the next one is for the next one we have trusted and secure, and for the last one we have mobile app. And here for the second one we have, so here we have largest people. Now if I hit save, now we need to receive these props in our feature card. So let's go to the feature card, and here at the top we are receiving type props, and here we are receiving an icon of type string, and then we're receiving a title of type string, and then I'm going to pass it here as a props, and I'm going to import the icon and the title. Now here inside this div we first have an image component from our next image, and this image will have a source, and the source will be the icon we receive as a prop, the alt, let's say icon, and then we have width of 100, height of 100. Then we have some class name, so mx will be auto, object will be content. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our icons, which looks amazing, just like this one. So after the image we have a h1 with our title, and then we have a p tag with the description. So the description I am going to copy it from our deployed version. Here I use the same description. If you want you can change it, and you can use a props for that, where you receive description as a props. Now this h1 will have a class name of margin top of 8, text lg, font bold, text center, and then this p tag will have some class name of text center. Then we have smaller devices, width will be 80%, mx will be auto, text gray will be 700. Then in the dark mode we have text gray of 300, then margin top will be 3. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text. So just like this one, we have our icon, our title, and our description, and this section looks exactly like this one. Let's see this section in the dark mode. So you can see in the dark mode it also looks amazing, and if I show you the responsiveness in the mobile devices, you can see it fit perfectly. And let's check this in the iPad. In the iPad it also fit perfectly. So our feature section is completed. Next we are going to build the client review section. If I show you the client review, here you can see we have section heading and slider, where you can slide from left to right or right to left, and the slider also have auto sliding feature. So now we are going to build this section. So for this I am going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name this client review, and inside this I'm going to create a client review dot tsx, and then I'm going to use rfc to create the component boilerplate. Then I'm going to add this in our home. So after the feature we will have our client review. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text client review. Next, go to the client review.tss, and here the first div will have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this div will have a h1 with the text of what people say about us, and this h1 will have a class name of text excel, smaller devices, text will be 2xl, text will be center. Then we have font extra bold. If I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our section heading just like this one. So next we have a div with class name of margin top of 16, width will be 80%. Then we have mx of auto, and inside this div we will have our slider. Now for the slider we are going to use a npm package. So the npm package we are going to use here is called React multi-carousel. So this is a very popular library for using carousel in Next.js or React application. So if I go to their website, here you can see they have some demo and they have details documentation if you want to learn more. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy their npm script and I'm going to paste it here to install the package. And then here I'm going to convert this component into a client component using use client. And then if I go to this React multi-carousel, here first we need to import the carousel and React multi-carousel / leaf / style.css. So this is styling file and this is the carousel. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it at the top. Here our download is also completed, the installation. Next what we need is we need to copy this responsive variable. So I'm going to copy this, and this is for the responsive design, and here we're going to change some of this. So for the desktop version the breakpoint will be maximum 3000 and minimum will be 1224, and the items we're going to show is 2 and we want one item to slide at a time. Then for the tablet the max will be 1224 and the mean will be 764, and we want one item to show at the screen and we want one item to slide. And then here for the mobile the minimum will be 764, the maximum will be 764 and the minimum will be 0, and items will be 1 and slides to slide will be 1. Great. Then what we have is we have this card, or you can say an item of the slider. So for this I'm going to create a new file here and I'm going to name this review card.tss, and then I'm going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate. And here what I'm going to do is inside this div I'm going to copy the carousel. Here you can see it has a lot of different types of properties that you can change or configure. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. So first we have sweepable and draggable. We do not need these two. For the show dot I'm going to make it false because I'm not going to show the dot here. If you want you can make it true. And responsive we are going to pass our responsive variable. Then we do not need the SSR, and the infinity will be true. The autoplay will also be true. Autoplay speed will be 4000 milliseconds, that means 4 seconds. And we do not need the other one, so I'm going to remove all of this. And now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we already have our slider. Here I think we have some extra semicolon. Let's see. So this is the extra semicolon. Now the semicolon is gone, and you can see we already have our slider working. Next we need to build the card. So let's go to our project, and here instead of using this div with item, I'm going to use our review card. So review card, and here I'm going to pass some props. So first one is the review title. So the first one, the review title will be great work. Great work. And then we're going to pass the username. The username will be the first one will be Jessica Do. Then we're going to pass a user image, and here the image will be slash images slash c1.png, and then a role. The role will be UI UX designer. That's it said. Now we have two more, so I'm going to copy this two more time. For the second one, the review title will be creative this one will be creative work, and let's use the name here Janie Doe, and the image will be c2.png. For the third one, we have awesome work as the review title, and here the name will be Jason Doe, and let's use the image c3.png. And for the second one, the role, let's use web developer. And for the third one, let's use app developer. Now if I hit save, and now we need to receive these props in our review card. So let's go to the review card.tsx, and here we are going to receive a props, and we are receiving a review title is a type of string. We're receiving a username type of string. Then we're receiving a user image, is also type of string. And finally we're receiving a role, which is type of string. Now we're going to pass this here in our component as a props, and we're going to get our review title, our role, our username, and user image. Now here the first div have a class name of bggray100, bggray100. Then in the dark mode, the bg will be gray 900, and padding will be 6, rounded will be LG, margin right will be 4, shadow will be MD. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our background with rounded card. And then inside this div, we have a h1 with our review title, and this h1 will have some class name of text excel, font will be bold. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text, great work and creative work. Then after the h1 we have a div with class name of margin top will be 2, flex, items will be center, and then inside this div we have a star icon. So I'm going to use fs star from React icons, and here the class name will be text yellow 500, and width will be 5, height will be 5, and we have 5 of them, so I'm going to copy this multiple times. If I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our star icon. So next what we have is this review text. So this is the random review text. If you want, you can use actual review text here. So I'm going to copy this text from here, and after this div we have a p tag, and inside this p tag we have our review text, and this p tag will have a class name of block, width will be full, height will be 1 pixel, sorry, we have margin top will be 4, text will be base, font will be medium, then we have text gray 800, in the dark mode we have text gray of 300. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our review text just like this one. So this is our review text. Then we have this line, so let's go here, and after this p tag we have another p with class name of block, width will be 4, height will be 1 pixel, bg will be gray 300, in the dark mode bg will be gray 700, and margin top will be 6, margin bottom will be 6. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our line. Awesome. Next we have this user profile. So let's go here. So after this p tag we have a div, and inside this div we have another div with class name of flex, items will be center, and SpaceX will be 4. And inside this div we first have an image component from our next image, and this image will have the source of user image, then the alt will be image, width will be 16, height will be 16, and class name will be rounded full. If I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our image of the user. So after the image we have a div, and inside this div we have a h1 with the username, and then a p tag with the row. Now here the h1 will have some class name of text large and font bold, and this p tag will have a class name of text small, smaller devices, text will be base. Now if I hit save and go to our project. Here you can see we have our user profile with image and the username and row. Awesome. Now we have a fully functional slider where we can go from left to right or right to left, and it has some auto sliding feature also. And let me show this section in the dark mode. Here you can see in dark mode it also looks awesome. And if I show you the responsiveness, so if I inspect and if I select a mobile device, you can see in mobile device it fit perfectly. And let's check this in the iPad device. In iPad it also fit perfectly. So our client review section is completed. Next we are going to build the mobile app section. So if I show you this section, here you can see we have an image and two buttons for download the app. So to build this section, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it mobile app, and inside this I'm going to create a mobile app.tsx, and then I'm going to use RAFCE to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this after our client review. So here I'm going to add our mobile app. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text mobile apps. Now let's go to the mobile apps.tsx, and here the first div will have a class name of padding top of 16 and padding bottom will be 16. Then inside this div we'll have another div with class name of width will be 80%, image will be auto, margin top will be 16. We're going to use grid calls will be 1 for small devices, and in large screen the grid calls will be 2. Then we have gap of 6 and items will be center. Now inside this div we first have an image, so I'm going to use a Next.js image component, and the image will have a source, and the source will be slash images slash app.png. For the alt, let's say app, and then the width will be 800, height will be 800, and this one will have some class name of object cover, and that's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our image. Awesome. Next we have the text content, so I'm going to copy this heading from here. Then after this image we have a h1 with the text heading, and this h1 will have a class name of text to excel, smaller devices, text will be 4 excel, font will be bold, leading will be 8, in smaller devices leading will be 12. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our heading just like this one. Next I'm going to copy this description from here, and then after the h1 we have a p tag with our description, and this p tag will have a class name of margin top of 6, text will be small, smaller devices, text will be beige, text will be gray 800, and leading will be 6, and smaller devices leading will be 8. In the dark mode the text will be gray 400. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our description, but this is not in the correct place. So after the image we have a div, and then inside this div we have our h1 and p. So I'm going to cut it and paste it inside this div. So now if I hit save, now you can see we have our description. Next we have this App Store button and Google Play button. So here let's add some comments. This is the heading, and this is the description, and then we have the download buttons. So after the p tag we have a div with class name of smaller devices. This one will be flex, space y will be 3, then smaller devices space y will be 0, then we have space x will be 4, and then we have margin top of 8. That's it. Then inside this div we first have our App Store button. So here I am going to use a a tag, and the href will be hash underscore, and inside this we will have our if a apple icon from React icon, and then we have a div, and inside this div we have a p tag with the text download on the, and then we have another p tag with store, app store. That's it. Now first this a tag will have a class name of flex, width will be feet, items will be center, we're going to use group, and we have the border will be gray 400, px will be 4, py will be 3, rounded will be md, so rounded medium. Then after this we have bg gray of 950, transition all, and the duration will be 300 milliseconds. That's it. Then the icon will have some class name, text will be 2xl, margin right will be 2, text color white, transition all, and the duration will be 300 milliseconds. Then the p tag will have some class name, and this one will be text extra small, then we have text of white, transition all, then we have duration of 300 milliseconds. That's it. Then for the second p tag we have some class name of text small, font will be semi bold, then we have text white, and transition all, and duration will be 300 milliseconds. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our App Store button, which looks like this one. Awesome. Next we have the Google Play button, which is similar to this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this button and paste it underneath, and this one will be our Google Play button, and here we're going to change the logo here. The logo here will be FA Google Play, then the text here will be download on the, and then instead of App Store we're going to use Google Play. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our second button, which is our Google Play button. And you can see this section looks amazing. Let's check this section in the dark mode. And in the dark mode, you can see it also looks amazing. Let me show you the responsiveness. So if I inspect and if I select a mobile device, you can see in mobile device it fit perfectly, and we have our button one after another. Let's check this section in the iPad. So you can see in the iPad it also fit perfectly. So our mobile app section is completed. Next we are going to build the footer section. So if I show you the footer section, here you can see we have four part of the footer section and a bottom part. So to build this, I am going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name this footer. And then here I'm going to create a footer.tsx, and then I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our layout. So in our layout, after the children, we're going to add our footer. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text footer. Now let's go to the footer.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16, bg will be gray 800. That's it. Then inside this div we'll have another div with class name of width will be 80%, image will be auto, items will be start. Then we have grid calls will be 1, and then small and large screen grid calls will be 2. We forget to add the grid. And then we have in medium screen grid calls will be 2. Then in large screen grid calls will be 4, and then we have gap of 10. That's it. Now inside this div we have the first part. So if I show you the first part, here you can see we have logo, a description, and some socials icons. So here you can see we already have our background. So in the first part we first have a div, and inside this div we have another div with class name of flex, items will be center, and SpaceX will be 2. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of width will be 10, height will be 10, bg will be white, rounded will be full. Then we have flex, items will be center, justify will be center, and flex will be in the column direction. Now inside this div we'll have the icon of MD, delivery, dining. That's it. And this icon will have some class name of width 6, height 6, and text will be black. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we already have our icon. Then after this div we have a h1 with the text foodie, and this h1 will have some class name of text extra large, and we're going to hide the text in smaller devices. In small and large screen this one will be block, in medium screen text will be 2 pixel, then text color white, and font bold. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our logo with the text just like this one. Next we have this text description. So I'm going to copy this from here, and then after this div we have a p tag with this description, and this p tag will have some class name. So first we have margin top of 4, text gray will be 200, and font will be medium. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our description. Next we have the social icons. So after the p tag we have another div with class name of margin top of 6, flex, items will be center, and SpaceX will be 2. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of flex, items center, justify center, flex will be in the column direction, width 8, height will be 8, background will be blue 600, and text color will be white, and rounded full. And then inside this div we have a Facebook icon. So I'm going to use f a Facebook f from our React icons. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our Facebook icon just like this one. Next we have Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this 3 more times. The second one, the icon will be FA Instagram, and the background will be BG ping 500. Then the third icon will be, so this icon will be FA Twitter, and here the background will be BG Sky 400. And finally here we have FA YouTube, and the background will be BG Red 600. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our icons, but they are not in the correct order. So I think, so this is the main div and this is the inside div of the icon. So this is the second one, so I'm going to cut it from here and paste it here, and we do not need this div. And this is the third one, so cut it from here and paste it, and we do not need this div. And this is the final one, paste it here, and we don't need that. So what happened here, I mistakenly copy with the main div, but this is the main div, then this is the first icon, second icon, third icon, and this is the fourth icon. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see it looks better now, and it looks exactly like the deployed one. Awesome. Next we have this footer links. So let's go here. So this is our first part, then we have our second part, and here first we have a div with class name of space y5, and then inside this div we have a h1 with the text resources, and then we have p tag, and this p tag will have the text block. And for the first h1 we have some class name of text large, font bold, and text color white. And for the p tag, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a custom class, and I'm going to name it footer link. That's it. Now we have, so here the first p tag will be about, and this h1 will be company. That's it. Now we have 4 more of this p tag, so I'm going to copy this 4 more time. The second one will be news and press, and this one will be about us. The third one will be our customers. Then the fourth one will be leadership, and the last one will be carriers. Now we are going to create this custom class. So for this, go to the global.css, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to first create a layer components, and inside this I'm going to create our footer link, and inside this I'm going to apply some Tailwind class name. So first one is text white, font will be medium, cursor will be pointer, text will be small, in the hover the text color is yellow 300, and width will be fit. That's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our footer links, and it have the proper styling and have the hover effect also. Now we can see we don't need to copy the same styling for all of our footer links. That's why we create a custom class here. So we do not need to repeat the same styling for this, and that. And what we do is we create a custom class footer link, and we add the classes in our footer link class. So this is our second part of the footer link. Then we have the third part, which is similar to this one. So I'm going to copy this part and configure this. So this is the second part. I'm going to copy it and paste it underneath, and then this is the third part, and here the title will be resources. Then the first link is blog, the second link is webinar and events, the third one is podcast, and the last one is ebook and guides. So they are just some dummy footer link. If you want, you can create actual footer link, and we do not need the last one, so I'm going to remove this. If I go to our project, so here you can see we have our third part, which looks exactly like this one. Next we have this contact us section. So let's go to our code. So after the third part we have our fourth part, and here we have a div, and inside this div we have h1 with the text contact us, and this h1 will have the same classes like this. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So this one will have text colors, font bold, and text white. And after the h1 we have another div with class name of margin top of 6. Then inside this div we have h1 with the text our mobile number, and then we have another h1 with the number. So here I am going to add some dummy number. Now for the first h1 have a class name of text small, text white. Then for the second h1 we have some class name of text base, font bold, text yellow 300 and margin top will be 1. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our contact us and our mobile number and the actual mobile number, just like this one. Next we have the email. So I'm going to copy this underneath, and here this one will be our email address, our email, and here I'm going to add a dummy email. So for example, let's use example@gmail.com. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our email. Awesome. So now our top part is complete. Next we are going to build this bottom part. So let's go to our code. So after completing the top part, so let's add a comments. This is the top part, and after completing this top part, we have our bottom part, and here we first have a div with class name of margin top of 8, width will be 80%, mx will be auto, border will be top, padding top will be 8, flex will be in the column direction, then in medium screen we will have flex in the row direction, then justify will be between, items will be center, text will be gray 600, and text small. That's it. Now inside this we have a p tag with our copyright text. I'm going to copy this from our deployed version. So let's copy this from here and paste it here. This p tag will have some class name. So first one is text center, then we have text white, and in medium screen text will be left. If I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our copyright text just like this one. Next we have this social box. So after the p tag we have a div with class name of flex, items will be center, text color will be white, SpaceX will be 4, then margin top will be 4, in medium screen margin top will be 0. Now inside this div we have a span with the text social, and then after the span we have another span, and this span have some class name of, in the hover the text will be gray 500, and text color will be white. Now inside this we have the icon. So first one is FA Facebook, that's it, and I'm going to copy it 2 more times. The second one is FA Twitter, and the third one is FA Rebel. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our socials icons also, and this sections looks exactly like this deployed version. So here in the dark mode it will remain the same with this same background color, and let me show you the responsiveness. So if I inspect and if I select a mobile device, you can see in mobile device it fit perfectly, and every items here fit perfectly. And let me show you the iPad device. So in iPad you can see it also fit perfectly. So our footer section is completed. Next, we are going to build a scroll to top functionality. So if I show you the scroll to top functionality, here you can see we have a button. By clicking this, we are going to go to the top, and initially it will be hidden, but when we start scrolling, it will appear to the screen. And by clicking this, it will go to the top smoothly. Now we are going to create this functionality. So for this, I'm going to create a new file in our helper, and I'm going to name it scroll to top.css, and then I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to make this a client component using use client. And that's it. Next, here first I'm going to create a state variable which is visible and set is visible. This state variable is to control the visibility of the button. So we are going to use state, and initially this one will be false. Next, I'm going to use effect hooks with an empty dependency array, and inside this I'm going to create a function called toggle visibility, and this one will be an arrow function, and inside this you're going to check if window dot scroll y, so scroll in the y direction, is greater than 300. In that case, we are going to set our is visible to true. That means then we are going to show our button. Else, we are going to set our is visible to false. That's it. Next, in the window, we are going to add event listener. So window dot add event listener. We are going to listen for the scroll event, and we are going to run our toggle visibility function. And it is best practice to remove event listener in the cleanup function in the use effect. So I'm going to return a function here, and I'm going to copy this and paste here, and instead of the add event listener, I'm going to use remove event listener. That's it. So this is our functionality for show and hide. Show and hide functionality for the button. That's it. Next, we are going to create the scroll to top functionality, and here I'm going to create a function called scroll to top, and here I'm going to use window dot scroll to. So we are going to scroll to, and here we are going to scroll to the top, so top will be 0, and the behavior we want here is smooth, so that's why the behavior is smooth. So this is the functionality to go to the top. Now here I'm going to remove this div, not remove this div. This div will have some class name, so the div will have the class name of fixed, then the bottom will be 4, animate will be pause. So this is a built-in animation for Tailwind. So animate pause. That's it. Now inside this div, we're going to check if is visible is true. In that case, we are going to show our button, and the button will have some class name of bg client 500, then the cursor will be pointer, then text white. Then we have rounded full. Width will be 12, height will be 12. Flex items will be center. Then we have justify will be center, and focus the outline none. And this button will have a on click, so when you click on this button we're going to run our scroll to top function. That's it. Now inside this button we'll have a arrow icon, so if a arrow up from the icon, if I hit save, now we are going to add this in our layout. So after the footer I'm going to add our scroll to top. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have the button but it is not in the correct position. So let's go to the scroll to top, and here we forget to add another class name which is right will be 4. So now if I hit save, now you can see this is in the correct position. So if I click here, it go to the top in smoothly, and initially you can see it's hidden, but if I start scrolling it will appear to the screen. Awesome, you can see it smoothly go to the top. So our scroll to top functionality is completed. Now we are going to add animation to our website to make it more attractive. So in the deployed version, if I reload the page, you can see we have animation, scroll animation in our project. So we are going to implement this animation now. So to implement this animation, I'm going to use a npm package, and the package is called AOS, Animation On Scroll, and it is a very popular and easy library to use in Next.js and make scroll animation. So here if I scroll, you can see they have different types of animation: fade, fade up, fade right, fade left, and they have the flip animation, zoom animation, and a lot of different types of animation. And the good thing is you just need to add this data-aos to the div you want to animate, and it will do the rest. It will animate the element when you scroll to this element, which is awesome, and it is pretty easy. You have different types of settings also. So if you want, you can learn more about by reading their documentation, but I'm going to open their GitHub, and here I'm going to copy their npm script. So this is the npm install aos at the rate next. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to hit enter. So this will install the aos in our project, and we are going to configure our aos in the home.tsx. So let's go to the home.tsx, and here first at the top I'm going to make this a client component using use client, and you can see our installation is completed. And then if I go to the aos github page, and here you can see we first need to import this aos and the styling. So I'm going to copy these two and I'm going to paste it at the top, and I'm going to hit save. Now here if I hover, you can see aos is declared but its value is never read. But if I hover here, you can see we need to install the type also. So I'm going to copy this from here to install the type for aos. Now inside this div, inside this home component, I'm going to use a use effect hooks with an empty dependency array, and inside this I'm going to create a function called init aos, and this one will be an async function, and then inside this I'm going to await import aos. Then I'm going to use aos dot init And here I am going to pass some property here. So first one is the duration, and for the duration I am going to use 1000 millisecond, that means 1 second. For the easing I am going to use ease, then I am going to use once, to true, no, yes, once will be true. Then after the once we are going to use anchor placement. The anchor placement will be top bottom, that's it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to call our init function, that's it. Now if you go to the GitHub page of this AOS, here you can see they have different types of properties that you can configure here. So if you want, you can learn more about by reading their documentation. So let's go to our code now. So our configuration is completed. Next we are going to add our animation first in our hero section. So let's go to the hero.tsx, and here at the top for the text content div, here I am going to use data-aos, and I'm going to add a fade up animation here. Then I'm going to add animation in this image content also. So here data-aos will be, so here I'm going to add a fade lift animation, and here also I'm going to add a data-aos-delay property. So here I'm going to add a 150 millisecond of delay. So why the delay? Because we want that the text content will first appear to the screen, and then after 150 milliseconds later the image content will come to the screen, and this way looks amazing. So now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, here you can see first the text content come to the screen and then the image content, and it looks amazing, awesome. So you can see how easy it is to add animation to the project. If you want, you can add different types of animation here, like zoom in, flip, as you want. So next we are going to add animation to our available restaurant section. So let's go to the restaurant.tsx, and here for the first div that wrap our restaurant card, here I'm going to add a data-aos, and I'm going to add a fade up animation, and also we are going to define a data-aos-anchor placement. So I'm going to add the anchor placement also. So anchor placement for this one will be top center, that's it. Now I'm going to copy this two, and for the second div I'm going to paste it here, and also I'm going to add a delay here. So for the first one, for the second one, the delay will be 100 milliseconds. The first item doesn't have any delay, but the second item have 1100 millisecond of delay. So first this component will appear to the screen, then this, and then the next one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these three, and I'm going to paste it here, and this one will have a delay of 200 millisecond, then 300 millisecond, then 400 millisecond, and finally 500 millisecond. Now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, here you can see we have our initial animation. So if I start scrolling, you can see our restaurant sections have now scroll animation, and it is fade up animation, and how easy it is and how cool it is to add this scroll animation. So if I show you again, if I scroll, you can see the element fade up to the screen. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our category section. So I'm going to copy this three line from here, and then I'm going to open the category.tsx, and here we are iterating through our categories. So here we have a span. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the animation here. So for the animation, I'm going to use zoom in, and the anchor placement will be top center, and for the delay will be I into 100. That means for the first element, the I index will be 0. So 0 multiplied with 100 will be 0. For the first element, the delay will be 0. For the second element, the value of I is 1 and it is multiplied with 100. That means this will give us a 100 millisecond of delay. So that's how we are defining the delay here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, so here you can see we have our initial animation. If I start scrolling, these are restaurant section animation, and here we have our category section animation. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our how it works section. So I'm going to copy this from here, then I'm going to open the how it works component, and here the first tip I'm going to paste the animation, and here the animation I'm going to use is fade right, and the anchor placement will be top center, and for the first one the delay will be 0. So I'm going to copy this, and for the second one the delay will be 100 milliseconds. For the third one the delay will be 200 milliseconds. Now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, here you can see we have our initial animation, then we have our restaurant animation, then we have our category animation, and finally we have our how it worked animations. Awesome. And you can see how easy it is to add different types of animations. Next we are going to add animation to our about section. So let's go to our about.tsx, and here at the top for the image tip I'm going to add animation. I'm going to paste the previous animation here, and this one will be fade right, and the anchor placement will be top center, and we do not need any data errors. So now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, so this is our initial animation, then we have our restaurant animation, then we have our category animation, then let how it works section animation, and then we have our about section animation. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our quality feature section. So let's go to the feature section, and here for the first clip I'm going to paste the previous animation, and here we are going to add the animation of fade up, and then I'm going to copy this, and for the second one the delay will be 100 millisecond, then we have 200 millisecond, then we have 300 millisecond, then we have 400 millisecond, and finally we have 500 millisecond. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so if I reload the page, here you can see we have our initial animation. If I start scrolling, we have restaurant animation, then we have our category animation, and then we have how it work animation, then the about animation, and finally we have our feature animations, which looks awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our mobile app section. So let's go to our mobile app, and here for the image I'm going to add the animation. So here I'm going to copy the previous animation, and here I'm going to add a, so we are going to add a zoom in animation here. So zoom in. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so if I reload the page, we have our initial animation. If I start scrolling, we have our restaurant animation, then we have our category animation, then we have how it work animation, then we have our about animation, then we have our feature animation, and then we have our app animation. And you can see the animation looks awesome, and it is very easy to add animation using iOS. So if I show you the animation one more time, if I start scrolling, you can see our animation looks amazing, and it makes the website more attractive with this animation. So it looks amazing. So our animation is completed. So we successfully implemented all our functionality for the landing page. Now we are going to deploy our project in Vercel. So before deploying our project in Vercel, we need to push our project in GitHub. So first I'm going to open my GitHub account, and here I'm going to create a new repository. And here I'm going to name this food YT. And I'm going to make this a private repository, and I'm going to click here to create repository. So now this created a empty repository. Now I'm going to open my VS Code, and here I'm going to stop the terminal from running. And here first I'm going to use git init, then git add dot, then git commit dash m, and a message, let's say first commit. Then I'm going to hit enter. So now if I go to the GitHub, so here we completed the commit part. Then we need to use this git branch m main. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here and hit enter. Then we need to add the remote origin. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here to add the remote origin. And finally, we're going to push our project. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here, which is git push dash u origin main. So I'm going to hit enter. So our project is successfully pushed to the GitHub. Now if I open my GitHub and if I reload the page, here you can see now we have our project in the GitHub. We have our app, component, constant, public, and all of this. Next, what we need to do is we need to go to the Vercel dashboard. And if you don't have any Vercel account, you can create one for free. And in the Vercel dashboard, here I am going to click here to add a new project. So add a new project. And here you can see I already connected my GitHub with Vercel. If you don't connect your Vercel with GitHub, make sure you connect it. And here you can see, so here we mistakenly name this food YT, not food YT. So sorry for that. You can rename this. And here I'm going to import this. And let's change this here to food YT. Now if I click here to deploy, you can see the deployment started. Let's wait some time to complete the deployment. So the deployment is completed. Now click here to continue to dashboard. And here we now have a link. So by clicking this, our landing page will open to the live server. So you can see we have our animation, and this is now running in the live server, not in the local host. And my system preference is dark mode. That's why it's opening the website in dark mode. And by clicking this, you can go to the light mode. You can see the dark light mode functionality also working. And we also have the scroll animation, and everything looks amazing. We have our slider, we have our scroll to top button. So if I inspect in the mobile view, we have the sidebar, and you can see everything works perfectly, and it's not in the local host. Now it is running in the live server. Now you have a link that you can share with others. You can share it with your client to show your skills. You can add this in your resume, or you can add this in your portfolio. So this is it for this project tutorial. If you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe this channel for more interesting web development content. Thanks for today.